In this tutorial, we're going to examine 3 different ways to share your Google Calendar with others. Now, to illustrate this, we're going to assume that you are the manager or the coach of a team called the Ocelots, and you've created a team practice and game schedule within Google Calendar. In this case, we isolated all those events within the EC or extracurricular calendar, so it's separate from the personal calendar and the work calendar, and so it can be displayed and shared separately. So the first thing we're going to do is drop down this menu beside our extracurricular calendar, and we're going to go to share this calendar, and we're going to make the calendar public. Now you need to be aware that a public calendar can be found by anyone on the internet, so we need to make sure that we don't put personal information in a public calendar. However, in this case it's just team information, so that should be alright. We're going to click Save, and we'll say yes, make it visible to the world. Now in order to share that with others, we can drop this down, go to Calendar Settings, scroll down, and here we have calendar address. If we want that calendar address in HTML format, we can click on the HTML button, and that gives us an address we can share with others. We're going to right click on that, copy link address. That might be different depending on the browser you're using. In this case we're in Google Chrome, and we'll just click on OK. So now if we wanted to, we could go back to our email, just log in here, and we can go to compose a message, and we could address this. Now we can highlight that if we want, create a link, and paste that calendar link in like so. And if we wanted to test that out in Gmail, it always gives us that opportunity, so we're just going to click on this, and you'll see that it takes us to our EC calendar. Here's all the practices and our games, and we can go to the next month and view the practices and games for the coming months. So that's one quick and easy way to share our calendar. Now we're going to look at another. Go back to our calendar, and in this case we're going to look at embedding that calendar within a web page that we can edit. So we're going to first of all come down to where it says embed this calendar. That's still back on our calendar details page. We're going to customize the color, size, and other options. This time we get to give the calendar a title, so it's a little more meaningful in that regard. We can set the default view to month. We can control how much navigation people can do. We can also control the size of the calendar, something like that. We can set whether the week starts on Sunday or Monday. We can pick a background color. So if we say our team color was red, we can pick that. We can choose whether or not we have a border. And when we're done making choices, we click on Update HTML. Now that updates the code that exists within this box. So now we're going to click in this code and highlight it all. Control C to copy it. So once we've highlighted that text, we're going to go to any web page that we can edit. So in this case, it's a Moodle page, right? So we're going to come here, compose a web page. Now down below, this is where we want to enter our web page. We can't just paste this code in because it'll just paste in as literal text. So we need to turn on source editing. That's editing the source HTML code. And in this case, it's this button here with the two greater than and less than signs. We click on that. In other cases, it might be just the word source. We paste with Control V. And we might want to, in this case in Moodle, we have control over how big that window is and whether it's a new window. So, and we'll go Save and Display. And then let's have a look at what that calendar looks like. So now you can see we have our calendar in a window. People can navigate that just as they could navigate their own Google calendars, but they can't edit this calendar. It's a read-only copy. So that's our second method, is embedding it in a web page. The third method is to share with specific people. So we're going to come back here. Now here's our Google Calendar. We're going to go back to our EC calendar. Go to share this calendar. Now, if you're sharing with specific people, we're going to presume you don't want to make your calendar public. So that's the first thing we do, is turn that setting off. And then we can enter email addresses here of the people we want to share with. So in this case, I can share it with that address, and I can choose whether that person can only see the events, make changes to the events, or in fact make changes and even share with others. So in this case, I just want him or her to see the events, and I click Add that person. You can see that that email address now comes down here. We click on Save, and now that person can see all of my events in my Google Calendar. I could email him to tell him that I've shared the calendar, and he would be able to see it. Now the last thing we have to do is see what that shared calendar looks like from the other side. So I'm just going to log in here. And what we see is down here in our list of calendars, we have the EC calendar appearing. So as soon as I shared that calendar with another account, the person who owns that account immediately can see that calendar. And they can turn that calendar on and off just as they could their own calendars. So that's as easy as it is to share calendars with people who have a Gmail or Google account. So that's 3 different ways to share your calendars with others.